Hey kids, do you want to debunk some more Civil War memes? Wait, you don't? Well, too bad, I'm going to debunk them anyway. The first one I want to show you today is this meme that says, "Why aren't Irish Americans in outrage? They were the first slaves and were treated worse than African American slaves, but most people don't even know that." Yes, most people do not know this because it's completely false. The Irish slave myth originated out of misinterpreting the differences between indentured servitude and slavery. However, before diving into the details of indentured servitude, yes, there were white slaves. However, they were not in America, and instead they were primarily in the Barbary Coast and were captured by Arab slave traders. These slaves were captured across Europe, so they were not unique to the Irish. In fact, the Barbary slave trade probably deserves a video of its own, but this is on a different subject today. Now that the Barbary slavery has been explained, let's get into details behind indentured servitude. Though indentured servitude was horrible for those involved in it, there are some key differences when discussing indentured servitude and chattel slavery. The first being, unless you committed a crime, indentured servitude is completely voluntary. Moreover, there are some key differences legally between the two. For one, indentured servants were still considered human, while in slavery, you were considered property. Indentured servitude was based on a contract which only permitted them to work for a limited period of time. This contract usually lasted from 5 to 7 years, but could go up to 20, and was usually in exchange for passage to the colonies. In the New World, many future landowners were once indentured servants, a title that was nearly impossible for a slave to accomplish. Additionally, indentured servants often did not face the harsh treatment that African slaves faced. If abused, there were measures which allowed for servants to take legal actions against their contract owners. Though contract owners could sell contracts between each other, there were cases of abuse and harsh conditions against indentured servants. The majority of indentured servants were treated well and eventually received full freedom. Unlike slaves, the children of indentured servants did not automatically become indebted to their owners. They were born free. In slavery, whenever a slave gave birth, that baby became the master's property. After the slave trade was outlawed in the United States, breeding slaves became a lucrative business, as it was the only way to acquire new slaves legally in the South. This led to thousands of slave children being separated from their mothers at a young age, a circumstance which would never occur for the Irish. Currently, there's a popular claim being made by not-so-savory characters in the historic community claiming that the first slaves shipped to the American colonies in 1619 were 100 white children from Ireland. Another one says Ireland quickly became the biggest source of human livestock for English merchants. The majority of early slaves to the New World were actually white. Both of these claims are completely false. The first slaves that came to the United States came in 1619, but they were not Irish. There are 20 enslaved Africans which were captured from a Portuguese ship near Port Comfort, Virginia. These 20 slaves were not free. They had all the basic tasks as slaves and were not given an indentured servant's contract. Now, in regards to the last statement, I have no idea where they're getting this information from, but I'm going to assume they're trying to say that indentured servant numbers were higher than chattel slavery numbers. Okay, well, 12.5 million Africans were shipped to the New World, while about 388,000 of them went to the United States. If you look at the estimated numbers of indentured servants going to the New World, 55,000 of them were prisoners, while 218,000 of them were estimated to be contracted indentured servants. This means that the amount of indentured servants that came to the New World were 12 million less than the total slavery population. Are you seeing how these Irish slavery statements are getting completely batshit? Now, what could be the reasoning for these outlandish claims? Are these simply angry Irish descendants who want social justice for their fallen people? Well, no. It's completely the opposite. In fact, the people spewing the Irish slavery question are lost causers and white supremacists who want to divert attention away from the slavery question. These pseudo-historians want to paint the Irish in the same picture as the African American community, to ask the question of why are the Irish succeeding economically while African Americans are still in poverty. The same tactic is used when discussing Asians as the model minority. These people will talk about how Chinese Americans overcame the Chinese Exclusion Act, or how Japanese Americans overcame internment camps, and relate them back to Africans' inability to get over slavery. These are classic whataboutisms, and they fail to help us paint the whole historical perspective. So, were the Irish slaves? Well, no, unless you consider voluntary contracts as slavery. In my opinion, indentured servitude is a little above being a serf, and serfdom was certainly not slavery. Thank you all for watching, and remember to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps motivate me to post more. Let me know if you want any more Civil War content or if you want me to talk about any other topics. Thank you.